Ah, there I am. Okay. Hello. It is now 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is my solar system episode. Hello, I do have one person now. You've come back. Thank you. It's 11 a.m. This is the solar system episode. I am going to attempt to climb this ladder to show you my solar system, okay? And that's where I started this last clip a couple seconds ago, and I couldn't see what was going on, so I think it just lost a connection. So it says this back. Let's just give it a try, all right? What I want to show you is the 1.8 kilowatts of photovoltaics on my roof. I have 16 solar panels up there, and those solar panels provide me with 80% of the electricity that we use for all of our electricity needs in the house. We have what's called a off-the-grid home, right? So our house has no power lines coming from a centralized location. We make our power from those those photovoltaic panels on the roof, and then and I'll show you the system inside in a couple minutes, what happens from there. But the idea is who's here? Okay, here again. Thanks for coming back, Tammy. All right, so I've got some folks that have found me at 11 a.m. to look at my solar system. So I just showed the panels up on the roof. I'm having a hard time with the connection out here, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show you all of my panels on the roof, but I definitely will be able to get you into the basement and show you the system down there. So as I was saying, I've got almost 2 kilowatts of electrical production going on the roof. Mark Enders is there. Okay, Cheryl O, it is freezing. Well, it's kind of cold here. But it's actually a much better day. We're about 50 degrees today. 1.8 kilowatts of power, especially on a day like today, are being produced at any given moment when there's full-on sun. That electricity the incoming solar radiation hits the panels, and it's converted into what's called DC electricity. DC stands for direct current. Direct current electricity is the same electricity that is in all of the little disposable and rechargeable batteries that we put in devices, whether those are, phones or whether those are toys. Anything that takes a battery generally is direct current. However, everything inside of the typical home is AC, or alternating current. And alternating current is much more efficient to be delivered over long distances, and that's why alternating current, ultimately became the type of power we use. And it even holds in a house. It's much easier to send the electricity through a small wire if it's an alternating current. Don't ask me about the science of alternating current versus direct current. I have a very basic understanding of that and probably wouldn't be able to answer your questions. However, I do know when it comes from the panels, it's coming down direct current through a giant wire through the middle of the house. And I'll take you into the basement and we'll take a quick peek at the whole system from start to finish. Look, it's Andrea. What's happening?
Just reading a book.
What you reading? People might be interested.
The number one they used to text me and see.
Excellent.
Number 10. No. Yeah, 10.
Number 10. Well, you've torn through those, haven't you? A number of those.
Oh, I read a long time ago, and then I found a few at Goodwill the other day, and it's good reading on a day. You don't need your brain too much.
I hear you.
Just,
All right,
escapism.
We're taking a tour of my solar system.
Oh, what is your sun?
My sun? In my solar system?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same sun we all have.
Is it a heliocentric solar system, or is it revolve around you?
A little of both. Maybe there's 2 suns in my own personal solar system. All right, on to the basement here. Mark Enders, how long do Maine winters last on average? You know, there's this old Mark Twain saying that goes, winter in New England is how does it go? Thank you. 9 months of winter and 3 months of really bad sledding. Winter's long, man. This year has been particularly long, too. All right, I'm going to hook you guys up into this little jobby here. Too long, Tammy. I agree. Tammy, you're from New Brunswick, aren't you? You know about long winters. Way too long, Beth Richmond says. She's from Randolph, 10 minutes from me. Beth, you know what it's all about around here. All right, let me turn on this backlight. So, I'm a little bit blinded right now. Okay. This is the rest of what makes the magic happen. Can you see that giant gray wire that comes down there? There's a huge gray wire that comes down. That's all of the direct current that's coming from the panels. And it comes right down into this little, there's an overcharge breaker box here. And then it travels laterally into this black device, which is called the charge controller. The charge controller decides how much electricity is going to be directed into the batteries, basically. How much do I want to charge right now? Ryan Campbell asks, how long would it take for a system like this to pay for itself if you compare it to what you would be paying on the grid? Ooh, good question, Ryan, because when I first just was deliberating whether to put this system in, I did the payback calculation, and the payback calculation was roughly 15 years. So that means that the energy that I save over that 15 years equals the cost. The energy, cost to buy that equivalent amount of energy would equal the cost of installing this solar system. However, there's one catch. At that 15-year point, I need to replace my batteries, which is pretty much where I'm at right now. I'm jumping the gun on my story. But so yeah, the system basically just paid off a little while ago, but now I need to replace my batteries. So the payback calculations start again. This unit is the charge controller. Basically, what it is showing us is I got a bad shade on there. This front-facing deal, I don't know. Okay, there we go. Right now, this is showing us the amount of voltage that's being created in the panels and the amperage the amount of electricity that's coming through that pipe. So voltage is sort of the size of a pipe. Amperage is how much electricity goes through that pipe. So right now, I'm making about 52 amps of electricity at 28.2 volts. So this little device is then further calculating that my current production in watts, right? That's generally how we measure electricity, is in watts. Watts is amps times volts, right? So for me, I have a 24 volt system. So if I multiply the 24 or whatever it's being produced right here times my amperage, that'll give me the watts. Right now, there are 1,470 watts of electricity being produced. That's the equivalent of about 150 light bulbs like that. It's a fair amount of electricity. And generally, it's enough electricity for us to survive. If I can get like 6 to 8 hours of full-on sun every day, I would never need to produce any other auxiliary electricity, which I'll get to in a minute. I know some of you that have watched my vlog know what happens when the sun doesn't shine for 2 or 3 days. Okay, but sticking with the system. Charge controller decides how much to put into the batteries, okay? Mark Enders, the way you explain things is one of the things that makes your videos so good to watch. Thank you, Mark. Right on, man. I do a lot of presentations. I used to do a lot of presentations because I was president of a trade association in the state, and I've done a lot of teaching in front of groups, and that helps. Okay, inside here are the batteries, okay? These batteries are they're about that tall. There's a little bit of a platform on there, so they're about that tall. These are basically the same technology as the battery that starts your car. It's a lead acid battery that occasionally needs to have distilled water added to them, or electrolyte as it's called. And that electrolyte eventually turns into battery acid, which I think is sulfuric acid. Yeah, definitely sulfuric acid. I can smell it. And each of these batteries is a 6-volt battery. 4 of them are wired together to make a 24-volt battery, 4 times 6. So that means that I have 20 of these batteries. So essentially I have 5 very large 24-volt batteries to store all the electricity that's being produced. Now, when this system was originally installed, with the kind of panels that I have now, I would have probably 3 to 4 days of electricity that I could store without needing to provide backup power from my generator. Now that the batteries are sort of, aging, I get about 2 days. So they have about half the oomph that they used to have. So, we're faced with, I don't know, some kind of home equity. I don't know how we're going to do it. We got to find a way to buy new batteries. Do I want to use the same lead acid technology now? Replacing these batteries with a similar technology and to known quantity. I know it'll last for another 15 years. It works really good. There's a lot of other stuff out there though, like, the Tesla Powerwall that's being used for storing electricity in the home. I don't know. I frankly have not done the research to come to a determination about what the future of my battery system, my storage is going to be here. I had hoped that by the year 2017, well, I'd hoped by the year 2017 we'd have flying cars, but I had hoped that we'd have a little bit more accessible storage, than the kind of batteries we have now. But isn't that a common struggle in the world right now, is how do we store electricity? So I feel it most keenly at home because I have to store all my electricity. Okay, so charge controller, black box. This determines how much electricity goes into these batteries. Once they're charged up, it just shuts down and says, you know what? I know I'm making electricity at the panels, but I don't need it, so I'm just going to shunt it. And it basically just goes away. It's just electricity up there, potential electricity up there that's not being used, that goes to no benefit. It's not wearing down the panels to make it. So that's one of the drawbacks to an off-the-grid system, is when there's a surplus of electricity, nobody gets it. We try to run around and vacuum. Look, the battery, it's shut down. We need to use electricity. Run this, run that, Let's make waffles. Let's do everything that includes, that needs a lot of electricity. Okay.